Hey y'all, there is a fascinating story in the life of ancient Israel found in 1 Samuel chapter 4 and 5 that I've been reading recently that I thought would be very illustrative of a principle or an idea that could help us today. The story is simply that Israel was at war with the Philistines. The Philistines was the nation around them, and as they were fighting them, they went out to fight them, and they lost badly. They had thousands of people killed. And when they came back, they said, well, we have to rejoin the battle tomorrow, but why did we lose? And someone had the bright idea. The reason we lost is because we didn't have the Ark of the Covenant with us. Now, the Ark of the Covenant was simply the symbol or the sign that God was with them. It happened from the days when they were traveling in the Promised Land. And so they sent for two of their priests, young priests, said, well, bring the ark, because if you bring it to us, we have God with us, his presence will go with us, and we will win the battle tomorrow. And so they get the ark, they bring it back, the people are so excited, they're screaming, they're yelling, they're making such a noise that the Philistines hear about it. And they panic, and they say, man, this is the God that brought this nation out of Israel, and we're going to lose, so guys, you better fight really hard. And so Israel's all excited. They assumed they were going to win, and they lost disastrously. Tens of thousands of people were killed, including the priests. The Ark of God is captured by the Philistines. The next chapter, the author tells us what happened after that. The Philistines assumed, hey, we've captured this. Our gods are more powerful than the Israelite God, but that was not the case. Because not only did it knock down their gods in the temple, but in every city that they sent it, there were rat infestations and tumors. And they finally got so fed up, they sent the ark back to Israel because they said, we don't want to have this punishment from God on us anymore. If you've heard the story before, you probably can go along with me and you remember it. But what stuck out to me this time was that this is a story about assumptions and presumptions. Israel assumed that just having the Ark of the Covenant there would ensure God's presence, it would ensure victory. They assumed that just having the right religious paraphernalia there would accomplish their goals. And it did not. The Philistines assumed that since they won, that the Israelite God had no power, had no presence, and they could just put it up as a trophy, and instead, God's hand and presence was very powerful. I mean, think about that. The Israelites assumed they had God's presence, and they didn't. The Philistines assumed that God's presence was absent, and yet it was there, heavy and powerful. I wonder how many times we do the same thing. We know that God can't be manipulated. We know that we can't make him do anything, and yet sometimes we live like that's the case. When we do things the right way and we act in the right manner, we assume that God is obligated to do certain things for us. And we know this is true because we get disappointed when he doesn't. Come on, God, I did all the right things. Why are you treating me this way? Or conversely, we're more like the Philistines and we think of the punishment of God and the things we had done. And we think, oh my goodness, I blew it again. God must be after me, must be doing something to go against me. My friends, Jesus changed all that. His death on the cross and his resurrection actually brought us to a place where we can have a relationship with God, because in Israel, as it is today, God is more interested in us pursuing him than he is on the things we're going to do for him. The entire story of that early story of the Israelites was all wrapped around this idea that they couldn't hear the voice of God, and God was introducing Samuel, a new prophet who was going to hear the voice of God, speak it, and they would obey. Today, it's no different. God really wants us. He wants a relationship with us. And when we pursue power or God's presence or all these things by trying to manipulate him, by just being good people, we end up missing out on all of it. But when we pursue Jesus, when we make getting to know him the priority, then all of a sudden his presence and his power and everything else comes along with it. God is not trying to hide. He's not trying to be absent, but he cannot be manipulated. He cannot be forced to do anything. Instead, he just invites us to pursue him. My prayer for myself and for you, that would be how you would approach him this year. Till next time.